Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are diving into a truly fascinating intersection, right where hard science meets deep symbolism. We're going to start by looking at the very real, strictly biological effects of exogenous testosterone on the female body. But then, we're taking a massive pivot. We're going to explore this highly philosophical, unexpected lens that some primary care doctors are actually using to help detransition women process those exact same physical changes. It is a wild, compelling journey, literally from the microscope to the telescope. So, let's get into it.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover the biology of exogenous testosterone, managing medical side effects, the medical astrology lens, the cosmic body map, astrological signatures of detransition, and finally, reclaiming the body.
Section 1. Biology of exogenous testosterone.
All right, before we get to the philosophy, we have to ground ourselves in the biology. To understand one of the most common physical changes, we really have to talk about DHT, or dihydrotestosterone. When exogenous testosterone is introduced into the system, the body actually converts a portion of it into DHT. And this invisible, behind-the-scenes conversion, it's the literal mechanism behind the very visible male pattern hair loss that many experience. Basically, if you're genetically predisposed, DHT acts like an attacker on the scalp, miniaturizing those hair follicles and leading to androgenetic alopecia. But it doesn't just affect the surface. Physiological male-range testosterone fundamentally alters the heart's machinery. The sources show how it actually shifts the electrical cycle, specifically shortening what's called the QTC interval. At the same time, it can physically thicken the left ventricular wall and cause the body to hold on to extra sodium and water. Now you combine all that with an overproduction of red blood cells and a revved-up sympathetic nervous system and, well, all these factors conspire together. They can absolutely trigger arrhythmias or even unmask structural heart issues that the patient literally had no idea were there. It's serious stuff.
Section 2. Managing medical side effects.
So if a patient starts experiencing something like a racing heart, a really rigorous, entirely biomedical workup is required. You can't just abruptly stop hormone therapy without medical guidance. That's incredibly dangerous. Instead, doctors will run a comprehensive battery of tests. We're talking a 12-lead ECG, Holter monitors to track the rhythm, echocardiograms, and extensive blood work. It is a meticulous clinical process designed to rule out dangerous hypertrophy or electrical anomalies before they take any next steps.
And this creates a really tricky dilemma for patients managing side effects like hair loss. They're forced to balance their desire for aggressive hair regrowth against their own cardiac safety. Take topical minoxidil, for example. Highly effective, right? But the oral versions come with dangerous heart rate risks, which is obviously a huge red flag if there's already an arrhythmia concern. On the flip side, a drug like finasteride strongly blocks that DHT conversion we talked about, but it might actually reverse masculinization by bringing back menstruation. So it's this incredibly delicate clinical balancing act for both the doctor and the patient.
But now we're going to pivot away from clinical treatments and ask a deeply philosophical question. What if you could read your body like a love letter from the stars? Now stay with me here. According to the source material, a handful of primary care physicians are using exactly this framework, an ancient, symbolic language, to help detransitioned women process their trauma and find real narrative meaning in their physical changes.
Section 3. The medical astrology lens.
Now, I want to emphasize that we are just reporting neutrally on this concept. These doctors aren't using medical astrology as a diagnostic science, not at all. They're using it as a phenomenological tool. Take a look at this dual lens in action. You've got two totally different languages trying to make sense of the exact same irregular heartbeat. On the clinical left, an arrhythmia is a shortened QTC interval and an autonomic shift. But on the cosmic right, that exact same palpitation is viewed as a Leo sun struggling for authentic expression and integration of the heart. One is biology, the other is meaning.
There's a quote from Dr. Alfia in the source essays that I find just incredibly fascinating, and it really gets at the why behind this. She says, "The medical system commits a violence of fragmentation. A woman is not a collection of CPT codes. She is an astrological whole." She's pointing out that modern medicine often fragments us, sending you to an endocrinologist for hormones, a cardiologist for the heart, a dermatologist for hair. This astrological tool lets doctors look at the patient as an intimately understood whole ecosystem.
Section 4. The cosmic body map. To really grasp this, we have to look way back to the 2nd century and this concept of the zodiacal man. It operates on this beautiful idea that the human body is quite literally a microcosm of the universe. In this view, your skeleton, your skin, your internal organs, they're all viewed as a cosmic roadmap that is intimately connected to planetary movements. In this system, every single body part has a corresponding archetype. So Aries rules the head, representing raw action and identity. Taurus governs the neck and the thyroid, which ties into your voice and self-worth. And Leo, the radiant sovereign, rules the heart and spine. So within this framework, a thyroid issue isn't just an endocrine failure, right? It's viewed as a Taurus crisis of the voice, a physical manifestation of feeling silenced.
Furthermore, these essays suggest that our bodies are essentially walking weather systems. We are constantly reacting to internal elemental humors and external cosmic climates. The four ancient humors, blood, yellow bile, phlegm, and black bile, correspond directly to air, fire, water, and earth. So if you have an excess of Martian fire, you might experience the literal heat of burnout and migraines. An excess of Saturnian earth might show up as heavy, chronic pain or despair. It's just a remarkably different, almost poetic way of categorizing human suffering.
Section 5. Astrological signatures of detransition.
Let's look at how specific patients in the source material actually use these astrological signatures to process their own detransitions. Take Maya, for example. She had strong Taurus placements, and exogenous testosterone dramatically altered her voice and eventually triggered Hashimoto's thyroiditis. Because Taurus rules the throat, her doctor viewed this as her body literally crying out over a silenced truth. Her healing didn't just stop at medication, it included a somatic practice of daily throat anointing with warm oil and humming to physically reclaim that lost voice.
We see a really similar reframing with a patient named Rain. After stopping testosterone, she experienced severe, painful menstrual flooding. But because her Cancer moon rules the womb in lunar tides, this astrological lens completely reframed a terrifying physical symptom. It wasn't just a clinical issue to manage anymore. It was viewed as a deeply emotional lunar homecoming. Her treatment involved just resting fully during the new moon to honor her body's returning rhythm.
This framework also provided profound acceptance for a patient named Sasha who had heavy Saturn placements. She was dealing with irreversible alopecia and thickened skin. Now Saturn rules boundaries, skin, and time. So rather than fighting these permanent changes, her meditation focused on honoring them. In this space, permanent physical changes aren't seen as deformities or failures. They're seen as dignified Saturnine boundaries of a life lived. They are the literal architectural cost of her journey.
Section 6. Reclaiming the body. It is deeply moving to note in the text that many women detransition precisely around their Saturn return. If you don't know, this occurs when Saturn completes its 29.5-year orbit. Astrologically, it symbolizes a major coming-of-age phase that strips away illusions and demands maturity, limitation, and living in reality. It acts as this profound cosmic demand to finally, truly accept the body you actually have.
This entire paradigm is captured so beautifully by a line from the text, "Your body is not a failed experiment. It is a sacred text in a language you are only now learning to read." Whether a patient is dealing with the harsh clinical reality of altered QTC intervals or finding peace through the symbolism of a Venus retrograde, the ultimate goal across both of these paradigms is exactly the same: achieving body sovereignty and profound self-compassion.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Whether you are looking through the lens of a microscope or a telescope, what is your body trying to tell you? Take a moment to reflect on that deep, intertwined relationship between the undeniable facts of clinical science and our incredibly human search for meaning. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.